and welcome back. Okay, so this is the video on how to sew your 8 pieces blouse. So for this, I need my bias strip, I need this fancy cord, this beautiful fancy cord, and I need my stone zip. Okay, so these are the accessories I need to make this blouse, to sew the blouse: my stone zip, the fancy cord, and my bias tape. Okay, I have a video on my channel on how to make a bias tape, right? So here I've interfaced my fabric with the hairstay like I told us earlier. All right, so these are my fabrics. Okay, I've interfaced them all with hairstay. Now I've also cut out my lining, and for my lining I did not use any interfacing because I use a thick lining. I use suit lining for this. Okay, so it's quite thick. But if you're using the regular Abba lining or China lining, like we call it here, you can use your pepper stay or your hairstay to give it some weight. Okay, now from the half length to the length of the blouse, I'm also going to come in with another interfacing called peplum stay, and this is going to make the effect of the flare side to be strong. Okay, it's going to stand well. So this is peplum stay. What I'm going to do is to place my fabric on my peplum stay, then cut from the half length to the length of the dress, okay, to flare it out. Okay, then I'll go use my iron and gum the interfacing to my fabric, right? So afterwards we'll come back. You can see how I'll place it. Just place it and cut it out. Cut from the half length, okay, from the half length to the length of the blouse. All right, so what I will do is to go do this for all the 8 panels. Remember, we have 4 panels in front and 4 panels at the back, and I'm just going to do this from the half length to the length of the dress. Like I said earlier, this is going to help the flare part of this blouse to stand firm. Okay, so we'll go ahead and cut it, then go and interface. Just follow the exact shape of your flare. All right, so I've done this for all my panels. Okay, you can see the peplum stay, and it's making my blouse stand. So for whatever reason, I don't know what got into me, I decided not to have it stand, so I took them out, and I did not like the outcome. Okay, the blouse came out very nice, very beautiful, but I still missed that effect that the peplum stay have. Okay, so this is what I did. You would now face them together, sew the center front to the side front. Okay, then afterwards you attach the other panel that we left to it. So just attach your panels together. All right, so that's what I'll just go and do. Go and sew all my panels together. The side front, you attach the side front to the center front. Okay, so now this is the front. Okay, what I just took out is the back. Just join the center back and the 2 side backs. Now for the front, you'd first get your center front. The center front is in two parts. Okay, the extra fabric that will cut, the different fabric that will cut to join it. So we'll join the different fabric to the center front, okay, on the 2 sides. Okay, then we'll go and pad. All right, so I have a tutorial on my channel here on how to pad your princess that bustier. All right, so just please help me check out that tutorial. I'll also try to drop the link in the description box. All right, so after joining the different fabric to the center front, you'd go and pad. Okay, attach your pad, then go and sew the pieces together. Okay, so the side back, the side front to the center front. Okay, now so I've done that. All right, so you can see. Then you also do the same thing for your lining. You can see my pad. Okay, I've padded the center front, right the front. Okay, now like I told you earlier, I took away my interface in my peplum stay for whatever reason. I don't know what just got into my head. I said I didn't want it again because it was standing very firm, and I kind of regret doing that. Okay, so if you want yours to stand, please do not take off your peplum stay. Make sure you add peplum stay to it so that it will stand, to give it that standing effect, right? So you can see I've joined it together. I've joined the center front and the center back. Okay, so I've joined the front pattern and the back pattern. That's what I've done, and that's what I'm showing you. Okay, I've also used my bias tape. You can see I also use my bias tape on all the sides. You can see on the tutorial, on the picture that we are illustrating. All right, so I've used my bias tape and my fancy cord to decorate all the inseams or the seams. Okay, so I've also attached and sewn my lining together. All right, so after coupling the front and the back, after coupling them separately, I went and joined them. Remember, my sewing allowance was 2 inches, so I went to join the front and the back with 2 inches. Okay, so opening it up at the center front, because that's where we have our zip allowance. Now I've done the same thing to the lining. So what I'll do is open up my lining, then use the lining to turn the fabric, okay, at the lower side. Use it to turn it right sides of the lining facing the right sides of the dress. Okay, so this is my lining, like so like I said, just get your fabric and place them together. Now before you use the lining to turn the fabric, you're going to reduce the length of your lining by 1.5 inches. Remember, the seam allowance or the hemming allowance we gave is 2 inches, so you're going to trim off 1.5 inches. Okay, the remaining half inch is what you use to turn the lining with the fabric with the lining. So you can see I'm chopping off 1.5 inches from the length of my blouse. Okay, this is so that you don't have your lining sticking out from underneath the blouse. All right, so you chop off or you trim off 1.5 inches. Whatever you have as your hemming allowance, just leave half inch for hemming. Okay, if you want to turn the hem of your blouse or your dress with the lining. Okay, so that's what I've just done. I've reduced the length. So afterwards, this is what it looks like. So I'll then go and get my main fabric, then use the lining to turn it. Remember, what I did was, after coupling the center front and the side front, I coupled the center back and the side back, then I joined the front and the back using my allocated seam allowance. That's 2 inches on both sides. So when I open it up, I'll spread it apart. Remember, at this other side, at the center front, we have the zip allowance, because zip is going to be in front. Okay, so that's where I'll open it up from. Then place it like so. Place the lining on the fabric, right side facing right sides. Okay, so I'll go and stitch the hem, then also towards the zip allowance side I'll stitch half inch to the left hand side and to the right hand side, so that we'll have a clean finishing, okay, for the zipper area and the hem of the dress. So we'll go do that on our sewing machine and come back. Right, so I'm done with that. So this is what it looks like. I'm done turning the fabric with the lining, and this is it. It came out really nice. So once you do this, you go and give it a good press. You go and press it very well. You need to press at this point, or whatever you are doing concerning this blouse, you need to iron properly. All right, so this is the inside. You can see how clean it is, apart from the edges, the shoulder, the armhole, and the neckline. All right, so that is it. So turning to the front, you can see what I have. So what I'll go do now is to use my sewing machine to attach the lining to the fabric at the upper part. So I'll just sew through the neckline, the armhole, okay, all round. I'll just go and stitch it all down, okay, through to the back. Okay, this is the back, the armhole for the back, and through. So this is going to give you a lot of control while working on your fabric or while sewing. So doing this would help to attach your lining to your fabric, okay, after turning. So I'm done doing that. You can see I now have a lot control, or more control around. You can see I'll stitch it down, so your lining is not moving around and giving you issues. All right, so this is what it looks like. All right, everywhere is done. So you just need to go to your overlocker and overlock the shoulder allowance. Okay, I've also joined it at the shoulder. Okay, I've also held the shoulder together. So at this point, you can now reshape your armhole. You can redraft your armhole, okay, at this point. Right. All right, so I'll go get my zipper, my stone zip. So I'll just go get it and attach the zip to the dress, okay, using an invisible zipper foot. If you don't have an invisible zipper foot, what am I saying? An invisible zipper foot, okay, to join or to sew down my zipper, or you can just walk it through your machine like so. All right, so just fold it in, the normal way you attach your zipper. So I'll just go and sew in my zipper. All right, and I'll come back and show us what we have. Now for my sleeves, I want a balloon sleeve. Okay, so a balloon sleeve comprises of the basic sleeve pattern and your strip of fabric that you gather around the hem of your basic sleeve. Then the lower part will be held with an elastic. Okay, so this is my basic sleeve pattern. I already have a tutorial on my channel on how to make a basic sleeve. Okay, so you can check that out. So this is my basic sleeve, and this is my strip of fabric that I've cut. I cut out 8.5 inches for the length of the fabric and the width is your round sleeve measurement times 3. Okay, so that's going to give you what you want. So my round sleeve is 14 times 3 gave me what I have cut out. Okay, so I used the whole 45 length of the Ankara fabric. It's actually more than my round sleeve times 3. Okay, but it will help me to have that excess puffiness around the hem. All right, so you would go, I'll show us what you would do to your hem. Okay, so I made use of the 2 different fabrics, one for the lower part and one for the basic sleeve. So at the hem, you fold in ½ inch first, then fold in 1 inch. Okay, then you go stitch it down. That is where your elastic is going to pass through. Then afterwards, you go gather the upper part, then attach it to the basic sleeve, and that's how you get your bell sleeve. If you want me to elaborate on that, please, I'll make a tutorial on how to do that if you want. Okay, so indicate in the comment section if you want a tutorial on how to make a bell sleeve. Right, so I'm done. I've redrafted my armhole to the size or to what I want. Okay, and I've also attached my zipper. All right, so you can see the zip, you can see what it looks like. So then the next thing we'll do will be to attach the collar. You can see from the style we are illustrating that it has a form of collar, okay, that you can tie. So for us to do that, you need to measure the circumference around the neckline. So that's what I'm doing. I'm measuring the circumference around the neckline, or taking the neckline measurement. Okay, so remember what I did was 3 by 3, but after, when I was drafting the neckline for the front, and 3 by 1 for the back. So I went to do it 4 by 4 for the front, and still maintained, I did 4 by 1. I still maintained the neck depth for the back. Okay, so this is it. So after measuring it, I got my neck circumference. So what I'm going to do also, okay, I've also cut a long strip of fabric. Okay, the width is 5 inches. Okay, the length is 5 inches, sorry, and the width is my Ankara fabric that's by 45. I had to cut 2 strips. Okay, 2 strips of 5 inches width of fabric. Okay, the length is the length of the fabric is 45, but by 45 the whole Ankara width, I cut out 2 pieces and they are all 5 inches wide width. Okay, so I'll fold that into 2. Okay, so folding into 2 will give me 2.5. okay, then 2 inches is the length of the collar. The remaining ½ inch is what we use to attach the collar to the blouse. Okay, so you can see if I fold it to 2, I have 2.5. Now at that point, that middle point where I joined the 2 fabrics that I cut out would be the center back. That will be the part that will be attached to the center back. Okay, so I hope you can see my seam there. Right, so whatever I measured from the neckline, I'm going to divide that into 2. Okay, so what I got from the neckline, I'll divide that into 2. So I'm going to mark half of the neckline from that center point. Okay, so I got around 30. Okay, so I'm marking 15 on the 2 sides of the center back. Okay, remember I said I joined the middle, okay, the midpoint. I cut out 2 45 inches length strip, and the width is 5 inches. So I joined it at the middle. I joined the 2 pieces together. So that point where I joined became the midpoint. All right. So from that midpoint, I marked half of my neck circumference all round. Okay. So then what I'll do will be to turn it to the back. Okay. Then stitch with ½ inch all the way to the end of the piece of fabric that I've cut out. Okay, all the way to the end. All right, so I want to have a little bit of shape around this part. I don't want it to be straight, so I'll just go and make a slant line at that part. Just make a little slant line and trim it off. Okay, so when I trim it off, I'm going to have this. So what I'll do will be to sew with ½ inch along that slanted line, then sew till the part that I marked. Okay, that's 15 inches point. Okay, I've marked it with my chalk. Alright, so I'm just going to sew from that point. Then from the other center back, you can see that place that I joined. I'm still holding it down. That's the midpoint, and it will go to the center back. Okay, where I have that joining at the back. Remember, my center back also has a joining. So towards this side, I'm going to do the same thing. Just make a slant line. Okay, I'll just make a slant line and cut it out. Okay, just to give the collar some form of shape. Okay, it's not, we don't want to just have it straight. You know, you want to spice it up. All right, so I've trimmed that off, I've chopped it off. So I'll then go and sew 1/2 inch like so, then sew till where I marked the 15 inches on the two sides, on the both sides of the center front or the center. All right, so I'm done doing that. I've also ironed it neatly. Okay, so you can, that's my joining, that's the part I joined. So when I open it up, you can see my joining. So, and I have 15 inches on the sides of the joining now. So at that point, this is my center back. You can see the joining on the center back. Right, so I'm going to match it up with the joining on the collar. Okay, the part that I told you that I joined on the collar. So I'm going to match up the joining on the center back to the joining on the collar. Okay, then put the piece, the blouse, okay, put it inside the collar that I've cut out. Just put it inside like so with 1/2 inch, then use the collar to cover it up on the both ends, then pin it down. Right, so I'm just going to do this round the neckline. Okay, just feed the neckline into the collar. Okay, make sure that the collar overlaps it with 1/2 inch. Okay, so that's the 1/2 inch that we left. Remember, I made it 5 inches. If we fold into 2, we'll have 2.5. Then 2 inches is the length of the collar, and 1/2 inch is what we'd use to sew it down. So that's what I'm doing now. Just put the neckline in between the collar like so, then pin it down like I'm doing. Okay, we'll keep pinning. All right, so if you're watching till now, please, I hope you've subscribed. Please, if you haven't subscribed, just relax. Yes, just press on or click on that subscribe button right there. Also turn on your notification bell so that whenever I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Please help me and like this video, share with your friends, comment, and thank you so much for doing that. So I'll pin till I get to my zipper area. Okay, so on my zip I have an excess there. So what you would do would be to trim off the excess zipper, just like that. You just trim it off. Right, so you now feed that part into the collar, pin it down, then we'll go to our sewing machine and stitch it down. Right, so what I've done to this side, I'll repeat the same thing to the other side. Feed the neckline into the collar like so. Okay, like so, to make sure you pin it down properly. So we'll then go and sew it all the way round. Okay, so I'm done attaching the collar. You can see how it looks like. Okay, I've not attached it yet, I've just pinned it all the way around. Okay, I'm done attaching it. So what I'll just do is to go and run a stitch around it, attach my bell sleeve, and that would be the end of this beautiful tutorial. So you can see how beautiful my blouse came out, irrespective of the fact that I took out my peplum stay, and I regret that. Okay, I have so many blouses that, you know, have peplum stay and it's standing, so I didn't want to do the same thing to this blouse. I want it to be something I can wear on a formal day.